Hard work does not equal success. There's so many people out there that work hard and they're not successful. They live paycheck to paycheck. Imagine working your whole life just to be poor. The sad thing is, most people don't even have to imagine that. They're living it. You know, when you look at the job report, the economy looks good. Seems like a lot of people have jobs, but most of those jobs are just entry-level jobs. Minimum wage. You can't really live off of it. Minimum wage wasn't that bad back in the day, but the cost of living, inflation, has just gone up so much, and wages have not kept up with it. I mean, when you just look at the cost of rent, food, bills, going to school, when you add all of that up, I don't know how people are doing it. And a lot of the older people just tell us to work hard. That might have worked in their time when they were making $30K a year, but houses were $60K. Now you make $30K a year, houses are $300,000, $500,000. I don't even know how people can afford houses nowadays. Like, to actually live comfortably now, you really have to make $100K a year. If you don't make $100,000, it's hard to live by yourself. You probably live with roommates, or you rent one room. I don't really think older people actually understand how difficult it is to get through life nowadays. I mean, back in the day when college was only a couple thousand, perhaps they could save up and pay for it. But now tuition is like $50,000, $60,000, and you got a bunch of useless degrees. It doesn't even make sense. I mean, how can you pay for the cost of living, food, rent, and go to college? The cost of tuition has risen so much more than anything else. And if you want to go to a really good college, 4 years of that is almost equivalent to buying a house in a cheap neighborhood. It's ridiculous. Even when you go to a fast food restaurant, it's not even affordable anymore. With the way things are now, I don't even know if people can retire. Unless you got a really good paying job, you probably can't retire. You know, a lot of people talk bad about office jobs and talk about how boring it is. But if you work at a restaurant, you don't get a retirement plan. You don't get a 401k. And those are the people that work the hardest. They work almost every day from open to close. They'll probably never be able to retire. At least working at a company, you get a 401k and your employer will match you dollar for dollar sometimes. So if you put $100 in, your employer will match you and also put $100 in. It's essentially free money. So I will say that people working for companies are doing a little bit better, but even they're struggling. If you don't make six figures, it's hard to survive. It's rough out here. When you go to the grocery store, the price of products, food, they've gone up drastically, but the amount that you get is shrinking. Like, when you look at bags of chips, they're getting smaller, but the price is going up. So not only are we paying more for things, we're getting less of it, and that means we gotta buy it more often. So that's also inflation. It's not just the cost of food, we're getting less of it, so we have to buy it more often, and that's also devastating. Almost feels like we're getting ripped off. I mean, imagine paying more for something but getting less of it. It's messed up, and most people don't even realize that. And in college nowadays have so many different degrees that are not useful. Imagine paying all this money to get a degree, but there's no job opportunities. You end up worse than when you started. You would have been better off not going to college and just grinding for 4 years and saving up your money and just enjoying life a little bit more than if you went to college. I mean, because it's not just money that's wasted, it's time. Going to college for 4 years is not easy. I feel like the education system is just misguiding us, telling us to go to college, but having all these useless degrees is hurting us. And that's another thing that older people don't understand. Back in the day, if you got a college degree, you knew you were going to get a job. Not everyone had degrees, and there wasn't that many useless degrees. So it was an accomplishment. You knew you were going to get somewhere. But nowadays, a college degree is nothing more than a high school diploma. People out here with degrees are struggling, can't get a job. They have automated systems that just reject you. Maybe because they don't like the words that you use on your resume, the format isn't right, or you don't have experience. But it's tough to get experience when everybody requires it. Like, if y'all ever seen the resumes in the 1950s, you didn't have to write paragraphs, list out every skill and why you're fit for the position that you applied for. It was literally just your name and your degree or your work experience. That's it. You didn't really have to describe anything. Nowadays, it's not just being capable. Your resume also has to look good. So although some things have improved, other things have gotten worse. But there are things that we can do to make things better, make better decisions for ourselves. Like, working for a small business might not be the smartest thing to do, because usually it's just the the owner, there's no manager, and then there's just entry-level positions. So you could work for that business for 10 years and never move up, never get promotions because it's a small business. So you'll be exactly where you are, like when you first started. You want to work for a company that has a lead or a supervisor or a manager or a director. So at least you can give yourself the chance to get promotions and climb the corporate ladder. And sometimes to see if you're actually working for a good company that has opportunity for growth, especially when you first get there, is to see how long people have been there and if they're still working entry-level positions. See how many people have been working there for many years and never got a promotion, and see how the company is structured, the department that you work for. Like if you're working in a certain department and it's just a bunch of entry-level positions, and then you only have a lead, and then above that is just a director, then your chance of getting promoted at that job is slim, especially if they only have one lead, and then above that is just one director. You could dedicate 10 years of your life to that company and still be at entry level. So you might want to find a different company to work for that wants you to grow, have more than one lead position, and have higher positions available for you to climb, for you to get a promotion. So although things are hard, we can be strategic, we could plan, but to do that, we have to look at where we are and think, if I keep doing what I'm doing, am I going to get to where I want to be? Or am I going to stay exactly where I am? Do I need to make changes? Do I need to work for a better company? Or are there many opportunities for growth where I'm at right now? These are the things that you need to think about. We can't control a lot of things. We can't control where we're born. If we're born into a good family, a bad family, a rich family, a poor family, you can't control that. You can't control the environment that you grow up in, but you can control the decisions that you make, the people that you hang out with, who you want to associate with, good influences. Every decision that you make play a role in your success. You can't change the past, but you can try your best to do the right things today, because what you do in a present moment will impact your future. To everyone who's struggling out there, always keep going no matter what. Always believe in yourself. Give yourself advice like you give others, and follow your own advice, and you will get to where you want to be.